on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Viall Ask Nick edition. I'm your host, Nick, joined by Allie and Amanda. Are we still calling you the social syndicate, or like, are you guys just like, what are you? What are you guys? Like, what's your purpose?
I feel like we're individuals now.
Yeah.
We've surpassed the title.
I thought about that the other day. I was like, LMAO, we used to be the social syndicate.
How are you ladies doing? How was your holiday?
It was good. I feel like we both had good Thanksgivings, different, but good. We were chit-chatting a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went to Natalie's family's Thanksgiving. And so it's her extended family. So it's all her dad's side of the family. And she has this adorably cute old grandparents who are still together and whatever. Really, really lovely family. So everyone kind of makes food for this like potluck style Thanksgiving, right? And so Natalie volunteered me to make meatballs.
Classic.
The infamous meatballs.
Which I like, when it comes to cooking, I'm really good at cooking like 10 things.
Do a few things well.
I'm good at cooking meatballs. I like meatballs. They're good. Natalie volunteered me for the meatballs. So I'm like, okay, a lot of work, but happy to do. So like Thanksgiving morning, like Natalie got all the ingredients and like we got like an Airbnb, like whatever. I made meatballs. And so I was making meatballs all morning. Like I make the sauce from scratch. I make them like it's
a process.
It's a process. And I like it's 4 pounds worth of meat, for like, cause it's like, I don't know how many people were there. I think like 30, 40, 30, 20, I don't know. It's a big group.
Yeah.
And so like I make the meatballs and I bring them and then I was meeting everyone. The handful of people in our family I had already met, so I have a bit of rapport. So I was like, hey, you gotta try my meatballs. Like I made a couple comments about like the fact that I made the meatballs, but it wasn't like I was like
pushing them,
making a big deal. Just like I was just making conversation.
Can you imagine if you were making Thanksgiving all about your meatball?
I definitely didn't do that. Like I definitely mentioned I brought the meatballs to like just a couple people that I knew. I was like, oh yeah, you'll have to let me know what you think. So dinner rolls around and I go up and I don't like mixing. First of all, I'm also, when it comes to Thanksgiving food, I'm just not like a huge fan of. I'm not.
Okay, are we talking just like feel neutrally to bad about everything or actively dislike?
No, it's things? Like if I had it my way, like I'm just not, like nothing about Thanksgiving, the traditional things that are served, I'm not a fan of any of them, including turkey.
That's as a man who consumes no less than 5 turkey sandwiches a week.
Yeah, as a sandwich.
It's a little bit surprising, but I hear you.
As a sandwich, it's fine, but like I'm just not like.
I feel like the sides are way better than the actual turkey. Like
a lot
I'm
of
more
people
of a
think that way, but I don't like stuffing. I don't like cranberry. Like Natalie made a green bean casserole. Like no thanks. Like I'm just not a huge fan. Like mashed potatoes. Like yeah, I like mashed potatoes, but like whatever. So here we have this dilemma. And I make all these meatballs, and so I went for the meatballs first, right? I know my meatballs are good. I like my meatballs. So like I made the meatballs and I didn't want to mix like spaghetti sauce and meatballs with all the other fixings that naturally seem to go together. Like Thanksgiving wise.
It's like one of these things that's not like the other.
Yeah. So like I got like 3 or 4 meatballs and I ate my meatballs. Like I didn't put any thought into it. And then Natalie's like, oh, you just got your meatballs? And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to try like some other stuff. Her brother-in-law fried some turkey. Really amazing. Like I had tons of turkey. I went and got turkey next. But I just didn't, at this point, I'm kind of full because I've had my meatballs.
Sure.
And then I also realized that of my meatballs, another wrinkle is that like not a lot of people were eating my meatballs, which is totally fine because they did the opposite of what I did. It's just like it's Thanksgiving, man. I'm gonna eat my turkey.
You do the turkey, the cranberry sauce,
all that. And they're like I don't know if I like meatballs, but I don't want to. There's no place for this meatball here.
Sure.
And I feel like a lot of people just opted not for the meatball.
Yeah.
So I end up eating only meatballs and turkey.
So Nick is never invited back to Natalie's family's Thanksgiving.
And then the next day there was another gathering because her cousin got engaged. They had this like nice little engagement party. And then there's a couple people in our family who like made some like meatball comments to me.
More about the fact you brought them or the fact you ate them in place
I
of
couldn't
other
really
stuff?
tell. And I go to Natalie, I go, I think there's people making fun of me behind my back about my meatballs in your family.
It's like, I think my anxiety is right this time.
And she goes, they are. And I go, why? She's like, because you only ate your meatballs. And I'm like, well, first of all, not true. Second of all, so what? You know, like, and so my question is that should I have, you know, because she was like, her grandma's like the sweetest, it's just a sweet older lady. And she was like, you know, I don't know if her grandma made the stuffing. I don't remember what her made. But she's like, you know, my grandma wanted to know what you thought of the stuffing. I'm like, well, I fucking want to know what grandma thought of my meatballs. I didn't say that actually, but like, you know, I'm the guest. I'm new to the family, so to speak. Is there a sense of protocol or obligation that I try everyone's food they brought at the risk, you know, and, you know, or was it rude of me to primarily eat my meatballs and not try the green bean casserole and the stuffing and the cranberry sauce and like, I don't know, the fruit marshmallow salad or I don't know, all the stuff that was brought.
I feel like it's a little bit like that is high maintenance by definition. In terms of like high maintenance, I feel like it's thrown around so much. But like, I feel like this is a scenario where you're being a little bit high maintenance in the sense of you're bringing a dish that you make wonderfully, but that is not necessarily an accompaniment to the traditional Thanksgiving dinner.
I think it's important to clarify. I was volunteered to make the meatballs. I didn't eat, like, I wasn't like, can I please bring my meatballs? Because it's the only thing I like. Natalie's like, you're making meatballs. I'm like, okay.
Well, I feel like, okay, here's the thing. Is
also, no one ate my meatballs.
Because they're not Thanksgiving food.
Yeah, it wasn't my idea.
Okay, but you don't have, my 2 cents would be, you don't need to eat the fruit and the marshmallow thing. Like there are certain Thanksgiving things. No one expects you to like all of it. I think you should have made a plate with most of it.
A bunch of things I don't want to eat.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I don't think people should be forced to eat things they don't enjoy eating.
And you can feel that way in 10 years. But for now,
I think it's the symbolism.
Up. Yeah. Eat up, Nicholas.
But looking back, if you'd maybe thrown 2 more sides on the turkey plate, so that way you could genuinely say
had
that you
sat down originally with the turkey and not just like 4 meatballs rolling around.
Again, I get the optics.
That's what we're talking about, though. It's all about optics. It's your first Thanksgiving there.
Did Natalie, because I think the real question is like, how did Natalie feel about this? Because I think
she was aware of the fact that
Did she feel, do you think it added a consideration for her or like something else for her to have to?
I like in no way was she like you know, like bridezilla or like, you know, in a sense, in like you meet my family and like in no way was she like helicopter girlfriend making sure I was doing all the right things to like win favor with all her family members. Like not at all. But I think there was a level of like, I know my family is going to notice this and I don't want them making fun of you for only eating your meatballs. So the solution to this problem would be to me eat stuffing.
Yes.
Even though I hate stuffing.
Because I think also there's a level of she knows you and obviously loves you, but doesn't want you to give off. And Amanda and I were talking about this too. Like when her family obviously doesn't know you. So you not eating the meal for you, it's like, well, I'm just not going to eat what I don't want to eat. But like it could come off as like, I'm too good for this. Like blah, blah, blah. Like, they don't know you to like back up what you did and like
I'm
take
playing
your
the long
side.
game though. I am comfortable with them.
You should have played the long game by
judging
eating.
me for the. No, I'm comfortable with some like judgment on their part. Like I believe I'm confident that I left an overall good impression.
I think
with the family.
But I think
and grandma loves me. If I were aware up front about the possible thing, I absolutely would have I would have pretended to eat the stuffing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, had I been aware of the optics about like, oh shit, like everyone's going to be paying attention to what I eat, which like, I'm sorry, that didn't cross my mind. I really didn't think like no one would give a shit. Like, but if I were aware, yes, of course I would have done that.
Totally.
But I didn't. And I'm just like,
So now you're here being like, am I going to get villainized for this thing?
I mean, this is an anecdotal story. And I'm not like really worried about this, but I'm just curious. This can't be this.
I think we should do an Instagram poll. Like, I think there's going to be an Instagram poll up when this episode drops, and we can let the people speak.
This is going to come down to picky eaters and not picky eaters.
It's going to come down to...
I'm a big believer in customizing. Like, I will go ham with making things the way I want to eat it. I also really agree that you shouldn't have to do things you don't want to do. Like, I'm someone who, if my friend wants to go to get different food than me, I'll be like, we can both get takeout and then eat together. I'm a big believer in that.
Uh-huh.
I just think this scenario, the context of being at your partner's place, I feel like you just kind of err on the side of being accommodating and easy and going with the flow.
I don't know. Curious what people think. I guess maybe I'm the asshole, but I'm an imperfect person. In the face of adversity and the fight for survival against cancer, a mother and daughter took their love to the kitchen and Go Macro was born. Now they are spreading the power of a balanced, plant-based lifestyle across the country with Go Macro, available in 15 mouth-watering flavors. Macro bars are packed with 100% plant-based ingredients to fuel your body and mind. Macro bars are made from simple, high-quality ingredients and are certified organic, vegan, gluten-free, kosher, non-GMO, clean, raw, and soy-free. Have a food allergy or dietary restriction? Go Macro offers 3 delicious nut-free flavors, including oatmeal chocolate chip, maple sea salt, and sunflower butter plus chocolate. 9 certified FODMAP flavor-friendly flavors so that everyone can enjoy a delicious snack. So if you are constantly on the go and you are very conscious about what you put in your body, Go Macro bars are just the right snack for you, because so many of the snack options available, even when they claim they are healthy, they are not. They're filled with a bunch of artificial ingredients. Not Go Macro. Stock up on macro bars by going to gomacro.com and using promo code VIALL for 30% off, plus free shipping and all orders over $50. I've always just kind of worn whatever when I work out, and I'll be honest, I've kind of usually looked like a slob. But ever since 10,000 was introduced to my life, I have been looking stylish while working out without spending an arm and a leg. That's right. 10,000 makes the highest quality, best fitting, and most comfortable training shorts I have ever worn. The shorts are amazing. They have a little liner underneath the shorts so I don't show my paste thighs, and they fit great, and they have pockets for my phone when I go running. The interval shorts are lightweight, extremely versatile. They're great for any type of workout, running, HIIT class, HIIT workout, spinning, whatever. Even like yoga. So like when you do some sort of upside down pose, like and your shorts fall, like your legs are covered. 10,000 is a direct to consumer company, no middleman. So you get premium fabric, trims, and techniques that other brands simply cannot afford. A team of over 200 athletes test their gear to ensure their perfect design, fabric, trims, and fits. And while I'm not, I don't think they consider me an athlete. I wear it too. And I too can vouch for its wonderful fit and the fact that, it doesn't stink. 10,000 is offering our listeners 15% off your purchase. Go to 10,000.cc and enter code VIALL to receive 15% off your purchase. That is 10,000.cc and enter code VIALL. Well, we have a great episode for you, regardless of whatever you think about our meatball. I wonder if by being honest with like some of my relationship struggles, people are like, I don't know if I can take this guy's advice anymore.
You're like, I'm turning this off.
I believe everything you say, but like, in what world do you think you're right about the meatballs? That's entirely possible. Anyway, I hope you still stick with us. We have a great episode for you. Don't forget to send your questions at asknick@castme.com, cast with a K. We have a great week lined up for you. The very entertaining, wild, and funny Hello Teffy is with us. You probably know her from TikTok, Instagram.
Oh my word.
Wildly
She's the best.
Fun episode.
She brought the big guns.
She was lovely. She kissed me on the way out, and then she was like, "Oh God, I'm so sorry. That's what I do to my friends." And I was like, "We are friends."
I also feel like you guys were like in like this wonderful podcast. Like it felt like a fencing match in a very positive way, in the sense I feel like you were both kind of like challenging each other and getting really good shit.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Be sure to check it out. Let's get to our callers.
Question time with Nick. Let's ask Nick your sexy questions.
How's it going?
Hey, Nick. I'm Caitlin, and I'm 31.
How can I help Caitlin?
All right. So I'll give a little bit of backstory about my current relationship situation. But before I start, let me just say I'm an avid Ask Nick listener. So I kind of have a gut feeling about what your response is going to be here.
Well, let's find out. Yeah. Tell your friends,
Yeah.
Thanks. I appreciate listening.
Yeah. And, I've gone to therapy about it, and it's just kind of gotten to a point where I'm like, I need a Viall verdict on this, need to talk to you to make this decision. So
let's see what we can do.
Yeah. So about 2 years ago, met my boyfriend now online. So we started dating exclusively a couple months after we were dating.
Your current boyfriend you met 2 years ago online?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So been together for officially just under 2 years, but it's, been talking and dating for 2 years now. And so, when we met, things are going well. We clicked a lot. I would say he meets a lot of like the top qualities that I want in a partner.
Which
and
are?
We're aligned. Well, one thing that's really important to me is just being like aligned as far as future plans, having a passion for your career and having the same kind of political views as me too, and just being like a generally good person, especially now with all the COVID stuff, being on the same page with vaccines and all that is important to me. And we have some of the same hobbies, and just, we clicked. So he has a lot of the top characteristics that I'm looking for. But one main...
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay.
No, go ahead.
Okay. So the main problem that we're having that's starting to trickle down into other things is the fact that he has 2 cats and I'm allergic to them. So, that sounds like it could be a big deal breaker for someone talking about a future together and trying to live together and have a life together if one person has an animal that the other's allergic to, right? So I'm sure, you're probably thinking like that might be a big deal breaker, but I'd say like about 6 months into a relationship, we started talking about what we wanted for the future together and how we could make it work. And he actually suggested that I start getting immunotherapy or allergy shots so that I could manage my allergy symptoms when I'm over at his house. Sorry, do you have any thoughts yet?
No, just tell your story.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he suggested that, and then even offered to pay for like any out-of-pocket expenses. So
okay, well, that's that. At least he did that.
Yeah, so that's good, right? Yeah. But now, so I started the allergy shots actually earlier this year, and they've helped manage my symptoms a lot. It's not 100%, but now the main issue is not necessarily the allergies. It's kind of like how he treats me versus the cats and our importance. So I'll be over at his house. So I'll be over at his house. We'll literally be like cuddling on the couch, and one of his cats will come up, get in his lap, like be right in my face. And the other one will come up to like, maybe like they literally like perch on his shoulders. They're super bonded to him. He's had them for almost 10 years. And I'll say, hey, I am starting to feel a little sniffly. Can we maybe put the cats on like one of their 7 cat trees? Because he has like all these like trees and perches.
How long do cats live?
Alec,
can you look that up for me?
They can be like 20 years.
20 years?
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah. So it's a long time.
All right.
And so anyway, I'll say, hey, I'm starting to feel a little bad. And he'll say, could you just scooch to the other end of the couch maybe? And like, let them like not disturb them. And I'm like, well, first of all, that's like 2 feet. Second of all, like, why do I have to move when I'm here only for a limited time? I've never been able to spend the night at his place. Like he always has to sleep over at my house because he lets them in the bed. And it's just like a big kind of source of contention here where we're trying to figure out boundaries for me to feel comfortable, but him also to, be able to appreciate his cats. And for someone, he's had them for 10 years and, wants to prioritize them. But anyway, so I could name other examples too, where he's kind of like prioritize them, or like even for himself, like his cats will jump into like his desk chair when he's working if he gets out of it during the day, and it's like a nice ergonomic chair, and he'll get up and they'll go in it, and he'll be like, I'm just going to work off like a folding chair now, so I don't disturb them.
It's intense, yeah.
Yeah. So
where are we at now?
Okay, so now a few weeks ago we were talking about actually now looking at places to move in together and trying to make sure we're aligned there. And, there's just been a lot of contention about, well, like, where are we going to let them go in the house? Where are we not going to let them go? Like, I need my space. And I suggested that we go to couples counseling to talk through that.
For cats, yeah.
Well, just, I feel like moving in together too is like, I mean, you've talked about it. It's a big transition too. It's a big step. Like you don't want to just do it just to save money or because you should do it, or any other reason. But with all that, trying to work through that transition, and then especially with this being a big hurdle with living together, I suggested that we go to counseling, and he was not very open to it. He said, "Oh, that seems like a big issue if we have to go already to counseling and we're not even engaged or married." Which, like, twofold, that made me feel like ashamed of suggesting that. Yeah. And second, it really turned me off because I'm trying to take the car in for a tune-up before the engine explodes on the side of the road. Like, I don't want to wait till we're wait until we're engaged or married and having these problems and then it's not fixable. So he eventually agreed, but he's like, well, if you find someone, I'll go with you. And it just really upset me because it's, I make the effort to go get like literal toxins injected into my body to be able to be around his cats. And he won't even willingly make the effort to go to counseling with me.
Could you ask him, like, what if his cat wanted to get therapy?
No, I didn't ask that. Should I?
I mean, the way you're describing it.
Yeah.
I always find it funny when people will be reluctant to get therapy for fear that if they get therapy, that will somehow make whatever problem the relationship is having real. And that's clearly not the case. All it really does is signal to one or both people that they are not willing to do whatever it takes to fix a problem in a relationship. Like, going to therapy doesn't make a problem real. It just shows that you're willing to address it. You're willing to deal with anything that comes your way, right? And in any relationship, what we know to be certain in any relationship is that problems happen. You can't avoid problems. Some problems require just basic consideration and empathy, and other problems are significant that you need a therapist or a intermediate, I don't know, someone to help. Mediator, whatever. So, so he needs to understand that, but I want to backtrack a little bit. I asked you, you're like, oh, we align, and I like a lot of things about him. And I was like, what do you like about him? And you said, we have similar political views, and we both like want to get married someday. Yeah. Did I sum that up correctly, or is there?
Well, and just like character, I do, and it's funny because it's like kind of our downfall, but it's also what I like about him is the fact that he is so caring towards the animals. Like, that's important to me. We're both vegetarians. Like, I don't know. So just like certain like core beliefs.
Sure.
And I know it's possible to find that in other people, but
I'd love you to gush for me about characteristics that he has, about how he makes you feel. There again. Oh my God. I was traveling and boy, did my neck hurt. And, moments later, I was fine because I brought my Theragun with me. It was amazing. I brought it to Savannah. It was the life of the party. Everyone's like, can I use that? I was like, sure. I mean, I really made a great first impression with Natalie's extended family because I brought my Theragun. It's only $199, which is basically like one massage. You could have limitless massages. Theragun is trusted by 250 professional sports teams like the Real Madrid and elite athletes like Paul George and DeAndre Hopkins, Maria Sharapova. Try Theragun for 30 days starting at only $199. Go to therabody.com/VIAL right now and get your Gen 4 Theragun today. That's therabody.com/VIAL. Therabody.com/VIALL.
Yeah, well, I do like that he is a caring and compassionate person. We can have fun together.
Do you feel his compassion and caring on a regular basis towards you?
You know what? Honestly, if I'm being truthful with myself, no. And I, and we've also had other discussions where I feel like my love language is words of affirmation, and I've had to express to him that, like, I would like him to be more vocal about it. And I've even said, can you tell me that I'm as important to you as your cats are? And he's like, well, you're important to me, but he's never said you're as important. And so, if I'm being honest with myself, no, like I don't feel as important. And so, I think that's like a bigger problem underneath the guise of the cat.
It's always funny how, and you're not the only one. She's like, oh, what do you like about your boyfriend or girlfriend? And people will always give me like, you know, they're not a criminal. Yeah. Like, I don't, you know, these lows.
No, like,
yeah. It's just like, I mean, I know like the political landscape has become incredibly toxic. I get it. But, you know, for all the things that people could choose to, all the reasons people could choose to be with each other versus not be with each other, you know, and then, you know, granted, we have oversimplified what it means to say be a Republican or be a Democrat, and we've oversimplified why people vote and what it means if you vote for a certain party. But the reality is people vote for so many different reasons that are personal, often economic. Like most people don't have the ability or feel like they have the ability to vote a certain way off of like, you know, social beliefs or whatever. They're just like, you know, right or wrong, or whether their perception is right or wrong. They feel like it's based off a necessity or fear or whatever. And yet we so quickly dismiss, like, we never talk about reasons in a relationship for how they make us feel.
Yeah.
How they treat us on a daily basis. How, you know, their willingness to, like, how safe we feel in a relationship. And I don't mean like he's going to beat up a bad guy if we're like walking down a dark street, but like feel safe in the sense that like, I feel safe that my partner cares about my feelings over anyone else's, maybe but theirs, and even above theirs. This ability that my feelings are protected, you know, and yet, you know, and so I would be like, oh, well, you know, and again, what you're describing when I ask you like, oh, what do you like about him? It doesn't really go past like what you said to your friends on the third date. You know, and you're like, oh, I met a really nice guy. And you're like, oh, they're like, oh, what do you like about him? Like, oh, you know what? You know, he voted, he didn't vote for Trump or something, you know, like again, whatever your beliefs are, we all recognize that he's divisive.
You pegged me.
Yeah. And so, like you need more than that, right? Especially you're talking about moving in marriage. I mean, like, listen, it's all jokes. It's an intense thing for this guy to be obsessed with cats to the point where he likes animals. That's great. I mean, interestingly enough, like, if you would have called in a year ago, I probably would have been a little harsher. I am obsessed with Jeff, my dog. I have a tattoo of Jeff on my arm.
Yeah, I'm a dog person too. That's the other thing. Yeah.
Well, regardless, but like Natalie will joke. Like I have this, you know, I was all like worried about, like, because I have allergies too towards dogs. Jeff is not hyperallergenic, but I was nervous because my whole life, like, I've always wanted a dog, but through allergies, like I've become like emotionally distant to animals because I'm allergic. You know, it's like, oh, you know, I don't want to get attached to the Mr. Itchy. And, and so I really wanted a dog. So I got Jeff and I was nervous about how I would bond. Turns out we're best friends. Like, I truly love Jeff and we're close, and Jeff loves me, and we cuddle, and Natalie will joke about like the attention I give to Jeff. And it's all like a joke, but like, I definitely don't. She doesn't have to compete, and if
like
she
you
ever
still make Natalie feel important.
If she ever were to feel that way, it would, like, you know, Jeff has to know his boundaries. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, sometimes he just needs to learn to not eat shit or whatever. I don't know. Literally.
Yeah.
But the point is, like, this, you're describing a rather intense situation. I mean, listen, the shots, I wouldn't expect anyone to get shots.
Yeah.
That's a lot to inject your body with that on a regular basis. Good for him that he absorbed that cost, but it sounds like he is lacking empathy on what he's asking of you, other than like recognizing there's a financial burden of you getting shots. In these types of situations, I think it's always good to consider what this type of behavior and how they handle this situation and what that might mean for future situations.
Yeah. And that's what I think, like, if I'm basing it off of how he makes me feel, like you said, a lot of the times it's not good. And I think I do need to pay more attention to that. And, you know, my gut feeling of, not feeling important.
Do you guys want kids? Does he want kids?
No. So that's another thing we both don't want kids. So.
Oh, you both don't. So you're on the same page there. Okay.
Yeah.
He's just into cats.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, so where I was kind of at now, like where I wanted your opinion, and it's like clear where, you're leading, but just wondering if it's worth trying to go to counseling together, like obviously not moving in together until we've gone through counseling and potentially worked through this, or if I should just stop investing any more effort and time and break away from this, because it's clear, like you said, it's going to come up time and again. And if he's showing me his lack of empathy now, like, what's it going to be like in the future?
I mean, it'd be a little harsh for me to like say you should definitely break up with this guy, but I think it's like you always hear me say, like it's nothing wrong with considering. Like it's always good to consider. I think you just have to think long and hard about and be honest with yourself about how you feel in the relationship, how he makes you feel.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're willing to go to therapy, go to therapy. But like, when you go to therapy might not fix the solution. Therapy just might make things clearer about where you stand in this relationship. But you can only do 100% of your half. Therapy is not going to make him want to do 100% of his, but it might make him recognize that he's not doing it, and therefore he might. So like, if you haven't done therapy and he's willing to go, and you want to make this relationship work, there's nothing wrong with trying, you have my permission to break up with him if like, if you're like wondering if you should, and maybe you're thinking you're being a little, I don't think you're being hasty at all.
Okay. And that's like, to me, it sounds almost so trivial, but it is a big deal because it breaks out, like how
the way you're describing it's not trivial.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, on the surface level, it's like, oh, I'm going to break up with him because he has cat. But yeah, when you dive into how like further he treats me, and compared to them, it definitely isn't trivial. So I think I'm getting to my point, where I'm kind of like at my breaking point, Yeah,
so. It's like, I shouldn't want to be your cat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I'm just so, it's ridiculous that I am envious of the affection your cats get. Cats.
Yeah.
Cats aren't even like known as like animals that necessarily require a lot of like attention.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Like
they're usually pretty
cats' love language is like, leave me alone.
Yeah, exactly.
And yet he's just trying to, I don't know. It's a little wild, but I would just say if you want to make this work.
Yeah.
And you want to level with them, just be like, yeah, I mean, not only do I want you to go to therapy, part of the problem I have right now is you don't seem to grasp how I feel. You don't seem to even want to like empathize, Like it's always nice in a relationship to be like, I'm having a hard time agreeing with you, but I do understand why you're frustrated, because I guess if I put myself in your shoes, I wish we could find a solution,
Yeah.
But the fact that he is, listen, he's willing to stand while his cat's in his, I don't understand disrupting cats. It's like,
I know, I'm like, just poke them and they'll run off because they're so jumpy, like.
I don't know, but.
So yeah, I think, I just need to have I'm in regular therapy myself, and I actually had a therapy session this morning and kind of talked about it.
Say?
She said I just need to really do some inner reflecting. And actually, funnily enough, in our session today, she asked me if I watched The Bachelor, and I was like, I'm going on no, I didn't tell her that actually, but she was just talking about she was saying on that show, like people are forced to be more vulnerable in like a short amount of time, and just, I don't know, like encouraging me to be more decisive and honest with myself about, what I want and how I'm feeling in the moment, and not drag it out. That was kind of how she related it.
I get and empathize where you're coming from, because there's a part of you that like likes this person. You don't want to complain, and you're like, am I going to break up with my boyfriend because of his cats? That's nuts. Right. And so, but it's not about the cats. It's about his lack of willingness to empathize with you, and his willingness to just be so cavalier what he's asking and expecting of you for the sake of his cats. And if that's what he prioritizes, then, like you're basically, you have to say, if I marry this guy, I'm never going to be a top priority.
Right. Yeah. I need to know if I can manage that expectation. And I do appreciate like talking to you too. It just like makes me feel validated. Like you said, it sounds nuts, but I appreciate you making me feel validated in my feelings and frustrations.
So like it's weird. Is he selfish? You probably wouldn't. He probably doesn't come across as selfish, but I think when you peel back the layers, he is.
Yeah, I could. Yeah, I'm like thinking of scenarios where I can see those kind of selfish qualities. You know,
so. We all can be selfish.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I think you're okay to seriously consider whether this relationship is what actually makes you happy.
Yeah.
And yeah, am I loved the way I want to be loved? I think is a question we should ask ourselves that we often don't. Mm-hmm. We always get people calling and be like, I'm happy, but
yeah, it's the but where you gotta really, and it's always like, I don't know, there's like a fear of being honest with yourself that when you get to this point, you know, and I just need to be a little bit more honest with myself and be more in touch with how
is this what I hope for myself when I thought about how I would be loved for the rest of my life?
Yeah, it's not. So
there you go.
Yeah, I think there's my answer.
But you know, if he could change, you know. No one's going to ever love you perfectly, but like it's always just nice to have someone give a shit when you say, hey, I'm just feeling a little, I don't know, like not important.
Yeah.
If he ever wants to call it, I'd love to get his point of view on this.
Okay. I could think about it. Like, I don't know that he would be willing to.
How old is this guy?
So he's 29. He's 2 years younger than me. So. I do know that he, like his last relationship before me too, also ended mostly because of frustrations around his behavior with the cats.
So
it sounds like a pattern, you know.
A little bit of an issue.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what kind of attachment style that's about.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems like anxious attachment to his animals.
Who knows? But
yeah,
that's not a problem to ignore.
Right. Okay. Well, I really appreciate the validation and appreciate your help.
No problem. All right. Best of luck. How's it going?
Hey, I'm Beth and I'm 33.
How can I help, Beth?
So I've got this situation with two of my friends. Backstory, we all used to be like really tight. We would have girls' nights, we'd have a group chat, all of that. And then over the last year or so, my two friends have kind of become distant with each other, but I'm still close with each one of them individually. So we're all still friends, but they're not as close as I am with each one of them, if that makes sense. And then recently, a few weeks ago, there was a Halloween party. So my friend threw this Halloween party with her husband, and her friend was visiting from out of town. So she was staying with them as well. And so me and my husband went, a few other couples went, and then my other friend did not go because she didn't have a babysitter. So her husband went. And then around 11:30, me and my husband decided we wanted to go ahead and leave. And so all the other couples decided to go too. And the only person that stayed was my friend's husband that was there by himself. So he stayed there with my friend who was hosting the party and her friend that was from out of town. And we got a phone call probably around 1:30 in the morning saying that it was from the husband who was hosting the party, him and his wife. He's friends with my husband, and he was basically really upset because he said that his wife witnessed her friend and my friend's husband kissing, and he got really upset with them. So the two girls decided to leave the house and they wanted to go to a hotel. And
wait, hold on. I want to make sure we understand who's who. So
I know it's confusing.
So you have these two girlfriends.
Yes.
Let's give them fake names. We got
fake names. Okay, so I have two friends.
We got Tiffany and Kelly.
And those are my two friends, Tiffany and Kelly, okay?
Okay.
So Tiffany's throwing the party.
All right.
And her friend from out of state is visiting her.
Some random, not Tiffany or Kelly, some random girl.
Correct.
Right.
Yes. And Kelly is not there. She's at home. Her husband's there.
Got it. Her husband, Kelly's husband showed up.
Yes.
And Kelly and Tiffany used to be close, but like have grown apart.
Correct. Yes.
And Kelly's husband kissed this random girl.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
So Tiffany and Kelly's husband and Tiffany's friend all went to a hotel together. And at that point...
Wait, hold on. They got caught kissing.
And then they decided it would be a good idea.
They wanted to escalate. You're like, we got caught, but like, you know what? You're right. Super rude of us to like fuck on your couch. Let's do the responsible and nice thing, and we'll get a hotel.
Correct.
Wild. Okay. All right.
Because they claimed that, her husband, he was yelling at him and he was mad. So like, well, we got to get out of here. And he's like, well, I'll give you a ride to the hotel. So at this point...
Wait, what?
Which part?
The husband who was upset of catching the cheaters
got mad at them and asked them to leave. Yes.
But he offered to drop him off at a hotel?
No, the husband that kissed her offered to leave to take them to a hotel. The cheating guy.
Oh, so they got in his car and they drove to a hotel.
Yes.
Gotcha.
So at this point, I'm overhearing the conversation from my husband. And so I call my friend because she's at home with her kids. She doesn't know what her husband's doing. If it were me, I would want to know. So I called her. I let her know what was going on. And so she's like, okay, well, I need to call him. So apparently she called her husband while he was at the hotel. They had like a 2-hour conversation and he told her that he wasn't ready to come home yet. And so at this point, I go to bed because it's like 3 a.m. And then the next morning, I talked to my, not the friend who got cheated on, but my friend who went to the hotel with her friend. And all 3 of them were at that hotel all night. And
wait, hold on. I'm a little confused. The friend who got cheated on, who else is at the hotel?
My other friend who witnessed them kissing on the couch. She's
the guy friend?
Kelly's the one who's at the house by herself, right? Tiffany's the one who hosted the party. She's my friend.
Yeah.
Tiffany witnessed her friend and the other guy kissing.
Yep.
And she went with them to the hotel.
Why did she go?
Because her husband was mad at her and she didn't want to leave her friend by herself.
Okay.
Yeah, I know.
But what were they planning on doing?
I don't know.
So they weren't necessarily fucking, they were just
kissing.
But
then they did more at the hotel.
Was Tiffany watching? Did it turn into a threesome?
I don't know. I don't think it was a threesome, but yes, she saw them do other things and she stayed. And
it was like, what, a chaperone?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. So that's what's caused this rift between my friendships, just because I think she was wrong for staying. I think she should have either left or asked him to leave because that's her, her friend's husband making out with some other girl. But she told me that she just didn't care enough about the friendship and they were 2 adults who could make their own decisions and it's not their fault.
I hate people like Tiffany.
Yeah. And so I'm trying to be supportive of my friend that got cheated on because now she's been betrayed by her husband and her friend. But my other friend, Tiffany, she's always been really good to me. She's never done that to me. And I asked her, I was like, well, if that was my husband, would you have, stepped in and said something? And she's like, well, yeah, you're different. And it's like, well, but that doesn't make it right.
Until you're not.
Yeah. So that's kind of where I'm at now. And she's kind of become distant with me for whatever reason. I don't know why.
And Tiffany's husband and your husband are friends?
Yes.
What do they say? What does your husband say?
I mean, my husband doesn't really want me hanging around with her anymore.
Fuck yeah.
He's not too happy with how she acted about it. And she still doesn't think she did anything wrong. Because she wasn't the one doing the cheating and she doesn't think she needed to step in. It wasn't her place.
Why did she need to go? How old are these people?
Tiffany is 26 and my other friend is 31, the one who got cheated on.
How old was the
husband who cheated on her?
And how old was the random girl who showed up?
I think her friend was around the same age, so 26, probably 25. I just feel like it was a very immature thing. Tiffany called me when she got to the hotel freaking out. She's like, I don't know what to do. And I was like, you need to go home. And she's like, well, I can't go home. I was like, well, you need to get yourself out of the situation.
What was she worried that would happen? Like, I get like caring for your friend, but did they think, minus him being a cheater, that something like she's choosing to go to she's 26 years old. Like she can go to a hotel with a guy if she wants to.
Exactly.
It's like, why the fuck was she there?
She didn't want to leave her friend alone. And her friend in the background is saying, oh, I'm not trying to break up any relationships. You know, he came on to me, but then they both went and did some more stuff at that hotel after that whole conversation. So it's
were they like on mushrooms or something? Like, are they just like high up? This sounds like a bunch of people like on drugs.
They were intoxicated, not on drugs from what I'm aware.
Right? It just seems like a lot of like.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm just
so YOLO, like, you know.
So I feel bad if I hang out with her now because of what she did to my other friend, but she's never done it to me. But like all our kids are friends too, so it makes it awkward.
Character matters.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think Tiffany lacks character.
Agreed.
It didn't happen to me is not a character statement.
Right. And even if she wasn't that close with my other friend, it still wasn't a good thing to do.
What
right?
Tiffany told you is that if we ever lose touch for whatever reason, and often people lose touch, it happens as a normal thing in life. If given the opportunity to like, and your husband were to do some shit, Tiffany told you that there are limits to her willingness to do the right thing, given how she feels in any given moment about you.
Yeah.
So it's like.
And the worst part is she ended the friendship after that. She blocked her on Facebook. She deleted her number. She just cut all ties with her and said she didn't want to deal with the drama.
She is the drama.
Yeah, I know. I told her I'm in the middle and she's like, no, I'm in the middle. And I'm like, okay, well.
I think your answer is easy. I would cut out Tiffany.
Really? Okay.
What?
It's hard for me because she's always been there for me, but like I know
way?
she did something shitty. So I don't know. She's
in what way? And what has she done for you?
We watch each other's kids. She checks in with me every day. We hang out like almost every day. So we've been really tight up until this event happened, and then we've kind of distanced ourselves from each other. So.
I mean, okay, so she's a glorified babysitter and a friend.
Yeah.
And by friend, like, she helps you not be bored. I don't know, like.
Yeah, no, that's true.
You know, like our friendships can be such a variety of different things. And, you know, again, for example, like I live in LA and LA is a tricky sometimes place to have people to hang out with. And sometimes people we hang out with aren't necessarily people we really call friends. When we're younger, those are the same people most of the time. When we get older, you know, our priorities shift. So our priorities become our families and our kids. And sometimes like we end up hanging out with the neighbors because like they're our neighbors and we both have kids the same age. And you're like, yeah, you seem all right to hang out with, right?
Right.
And you know, like in LA, right? There's people I know who like, they're all right to hang out with. I don't mind them. But like, I also like, don't think they're like the highest character people, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so I don't get all that close, but like once in a while I'll see them around and there's someone to talk to because I know them and I'm familiar with them. But like, they're not necessarily like, I wouldn't call them friends.
Yeah.
You know, they're just like people I know, you know? And it's like, all right, well, I'm not going to get close to you or trust you but like, yeah, you're like someone to like have a conversation with at a party if I run into you because like, you know, I know you or we have mutual friends. And so like, I don't know, it just sounds like this Tiffany person is like someone who, yeah, like when she's not being problematic or when she's not forced to make a tough decision, she's all right to have around because like maybe she's fun and cool. You have the same kids. You can help each other out. She's interested in like drama and she probably I bet she gossips all the time. Am I right?
I mean, not really. I don't think so, but who knows? I don't know.
Yeah, listen, it's just I don't know. You're talking to someone who like character matters. And I'm very critical of people who show their true colors when when things happen, and when people, and especially the fact that this has cost you another friend.
Yeah, well, I mean, she appreciates me telling her, and we're good and everything. My other friend, so everything's good with her. I was just wanting to see if I'm my husband thinks the same thing, that, what she did was pretty bad. And I just wanted to get a second opinion, and,
It's a lot of toxic energy you'd be allowing into your space,
I've already allowed it into my space. I have a lot of anxiety. I had panic attacks over everyone else's drama.
It could affect your those things matter. Your husband looks at you, how you handle this situation.
Right.
And to me, I would think this would be a real easy decision.
Okay.
And you could be disappointed that you lost a friend and be sad that she was cool to hang out with. But if I were you, I'd be like, I would feel good about being like, no, I don't fuck with that.
Okay. I appreciate that.
And if she asks, I would just be like, the biggest red flag is that even after it was all said and done and the drugs or alcohol wore off, that she is being so dismissive.
Very, yeah.
So that's the thing. I consider myself to be an incredibly loyal person. And the people who know me best and the people I'm closest with, if you were to ask them, what is a quality of Nick's and being his friend, they would say loyalty.
Mm-hmm.
And despite that, my loyalty to my friends is holding them accountable for being the people I think they are. And so if one of my closest friends did some shit to a stranger, let alone someone else,
right,
my loyalty would mean that I would hold them accountable for them being fucking shitty.
Okay.
And Tiffany is the type of person who says it's really about her.
Mm-hmm.
Right? As long as she's not inconvenienced, she'll hang out with you. As long as she's not upset.
Right.
So character doesn't matter so much to Tiffany.
Right.
And that will eventually affect you more directly, as long as it's just a matter of time. She's a time bomb.
Yeah. And I tried to talk to her and tell her how I thought it was wrong, but she just told me she didn't care. So I was like, I don't even know what to say to that.
That's all your answer. If she asks, you'd be like, character, she's telling, I don't care. That she's being, she's good for her for being, she doesn't care.
Yeah.
Ugh. What a rotten. Yikes.
Yeah.
Karma's a bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, best of luck. But protect yourself, protect your husband, protect your family. That shit matters. It's already affecting you negatively.
Yeah, it is. A lot.
And you don't need that bullshit in your life.
You're right. Thank you.
Can't trust someone like Tiffany.
No, that's what everybody keeps telling me too.
Yeah. I don't think, I choose to believe that Tiffany is not the type of person who listens to this podcast, because I think the people who listen to this podcast are of a moral standard that they would care. People who listen to this podcast have empathy for humans, and Tiffany Tiffany has empathy for herself.
Right.
All right.
Agreed.
Well, thanks for calling. All right. Take care.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
All right.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
How's it going?
Hi, my name is Angie, and I'm 29.
Hi, Angie. How can I help?
I have a kind of absurd for me to do something like this, but last year I met somebody over the pandemic online, and we kind of had a long distance thing. We didn't really meet until, I guess, last month.
But you have met now.
Yeah.
He's real.
He's real.
Okay.
And we kind of just did video calls and stuff. It actually, it became an actual relationship, but we just hadn't met. So we were kind of waiting to restrictions lifted. And then he also, I live in Canada, he lives in Dubai.
Okay, so, that's super long distance.
Yeah. So it wasn't it was within the US or Canada. So when restrictions lifted, I went over and met him. Everything was great.
In Dubai? You flew to Dubai?
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Everything was great. It just, when it came to being physical and the intimacy part, it just wasn't there.
For who?
For both. We weren't feeling it.
Okay.
And so we were both kind of confused. The first few days were good. And then by the third or fourth day, we were both kind of like, okay. And then so we came back. Didn't really like talk about anything there.
Did you guys hook up, or did you not even go that far? You did hook up.
Yeah. Like the whole time. But
Gotcha,
it was just the first few days we were like, okay, we're trying to figure it out.
You're like, oh, maybe it's awkward or nervous.
Yeah.
Or sure. Yeah.
And then by the third or fourth day, we were both kind of like, something's off, but we didn't really like address it. So yeah.
What was off? Like what was going on?
Just like either I wasn't feeling it or like he wasn't feeling it.
Okay.
Like we were attracted to each other. That part was there, and like we wanted to do things, but when it came to actual doing stuff, it was just.
Is he from Dubai?
Yeah.
Like born and raised?
No, he's Indian.
Okay, he's from India.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I only ask because, like, I don't know. I don't know people who live in Dubai. I know cultures are very different potentially there, and what role that plays. I don't know. But this doesn't sound like anything. It just was like a normal like, hey, I don't know. Maybe we're just not vibing each other.
Yeah, and like that was the thing where we were both like emotionally, mentally, like really good. Even now that we talk about it, like we still talk like every other day. The thing is, so after we came back, we talked about it. Okay, we're like, okay, maybe we should just not continue this because this long distance isn't like to work on physically being or working on the physical aspect. You kind of have to be together to like make that work. I don't know if it's instant or if it's just like.
Sure. How experienced, and it's a personal question, but how experienced are both of you sexually?
Pretty good.
Okay.
Like he's had enough.
So it's not like your first rodeo.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that your question is like, what do you do now?
Well, yeah, because we broke up kind of like after, and then, but we still been talking like we're a couple.
So you met this guy online and then defined the relationship before ever meeting?
Yeah, which is something that I've heard you talk about before in one of your other ones. But
it's an extraordinary, like, extreme choice. Yeah. I mean, at least you knew he was real. You were FaceTiming.
Yeah.
Why, just out of curiosity, like why? Like why someone in Dubai you haven't met? Like
it wasn't supposed to happen like that. Like I was just literally on an app because it was a pandemic and I was just like, oh, let's just like talk to people. I wasn't looking for a relationship. He wasn't either. I've never done long distance. He's never done long distance, but it was just kind of just happened naturally.
Sure.
I don't know.
And then when you went out there, minus the lack of sexual chemistry, did he live up to like who he is as a person in terms of like, oh, he's nice, just as like all the reasons you agreed to commit to this relationship with someone you didn't know, was that all still enjoyable?
Yeah, like everything was perfect. It was just that part. So I'm like, I got really confused because I was like, am I like, what's more important here?
Well, it's ironically, like I would, if you're asking me, it's like, I don't know, physical chemistry is
it's pretty big,
important,
yeah.
but fuck you don't see this guy, so who gives a shit? But I'm assuming, like, if I'm assuming that if you were to pursue this, or if you were to continue to pursue this, there have been conversations about the possibility of someone moving.
Yeah, it was going to be him.
He was going to move.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, how bad was it? Like, what did you hate about it? Like, from your point of view, what didn't you like?
Just like not enough, I guess, foreplay and like, I don't know. we just weren't on the same vibe. Like maybe he was just too quick, I guess. I don't know.
So he was not a generous lover.
No.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So he did climax.
Yeah, he did the whole time. I never did.
So what was his complaint about you?
I don't know. I think maybe he just like knew from my face that I wasn't like satisfied or like I wasn't enjoying it. And so maybe he got like a little
Defensive,
discouraged. I don't
yeah.
know.
Well, you've continued to talk about it openly?
Yeah,
How honest have you been?
pretty honest.
How specific?
Maybe not as specific.
Like, what did
as
you
I
tell
should
him?
be.
I'm just saying, like,
Yeah, like basically I was just like, yeah, like it's not like the foreplay is not enough kind of. And,
okay. And what do you say?
and he's like, well, I thought we did enough. And I'm like, no, not enough for me. Cause yeah. And then, and then he's like, well, if we need to work on that, we need to physically be together. And like, right now with COVID and everything's backed up. So he can't even come here right now. Like visa wise. So, and for me to fly out is kind of difficult too with work. So,
Yeah, I mean, it's just realistically not practical, right?
yeah.
Because like if the same problem existed and this guy like lived down the street, I would just say, hey, listen, like it would make sense. I mean, you two wouldn't be the first couple who hooked up, and he was a guy. How old is this guy?
He's the same age, 29.
Yeah, it would be disappointing, but not shocking that a 29-year-old guy has not learned about the importance of foreplay and being a generous lover and not just getting in there and a couple pumps and being done. And it wouldn't be shocking when you express yourself if you got a little defensive and discouraged. But none of this is something you couldn't work on. But you're right. Like you would have to be in the same like city to do that. So like, is this guy like everything else just the man of your dreams? Like,
Pretty much.
okay, well, I mean, when was the last time you've liked someone as much as him? Minus this.
Years ago. Like maybe like 10 years ago.
Are you feeling anxious about meeting other guys? Are you considering other guys?
At the moment, no. I'm trying to just heal from what happened because
Heal?
it did. Yeah, it did. Like it really bothered me that we're like broken up and we didn't try to make it work. Basically.
Well, it sounds like you guys are putting in a lot of effort for something that requires an insane amount of effort. But
yeah. But I guess like my question is like now that we're not together and like he's single, doing his thing, and like I'm single, but I'm just kind of trying to process what happened. How do I draw like a boundary? Because we still talk to each other the same, as in like we're still together.
yeah. Does he ask you about if you're dating?
We kind of both said that we're not going to tell each other.
Okay. That's actually, I think that's smart.
But I did find out that he was talking to somebody.
How?
Through Instagram.
You were stalking his Instagram?
Afterwards, yeah. But then, yeah, I kind of called him out on it. And then he was like, well, I told you like we weren't going to tell each other. But
Yeah, you called him out on something that actually, you actually didn't respect the boundary you guys set.
yeah.
Like this was a boundary. You guys were like, hey, listen, this is a weird situation. We're not dating, but we want to keep talking. But to do that, we can't sit there and drive each other nuts or also hold each other hostage for also trying to live our lives. And then you cross that boundary by stalking his Instagram and then making him feel bad about something he wasn't doing anything
he shouldn't feel
bad about.
Yeah.
So you have to start respecting your boundaries that you set for not only him, but for yourself. There is that. And like what you do going forward, I mean, listen, like it's inconvenient. What is your line? Like, what are you willing to do for this? Yeah, it's super impractical. The fact that your biggest hurdle in your relationship, as you see it now, minus the long distance, is the fact that you have not good sexual chemistry. Like, he's just not good in bed is what it sounds like. You know, can he get better? Sure. Good news, it sounds like he's open to the possibility.
Yeah.
Like, how did he fight for this? Like, how easy was it for him to end it from your point of view?
By the time we came back, we were thinking of like talking to maybe like some type of therapist to see if there's like, we can work on it, but like it didn't really.
Yeah, I don't know if you're like need a therapist at this point. Like, I would start with like, hey, I like this. Are you willing to do it? You know? Like, does it almost, did it feel mechanical almost?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. This might be who he is.
Yeah.
Is he that great? What's so great about this guy other than this? Like,
it's just like the understanding and like the emotional connection that we have. Like, I don't need to say a lot for him to understand who I am and like what, if I'm feeling, which is hard because like we don't get to see each other's like reactions and stuff. Like, and like over the year and a half, he's been through a lot with me. Like, he's kind of been my support through things. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, he's
so you find him to be empathetic with your emotions.
Yeah, we just have a good understanding of each other. Like, we're just emotionally and mentally, we can talk about things honestly, open. There's no like judgment. We have a lot of love for each other, but it's just when it comes to that, it kind of fell flat.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a tough situation because like you, the way you describe what you like about him, you would think that type of person would like be good, you know, or could get better.
Yeah.
You know, do you know his like sexual history?
Not in detail, but I know that he's had quite a few partners.
Okay.
Before me.
Yeah, I don't know. That's it's just tough. Like, I also think sometimes in these long distance relationship, I'm sure there's like some sort of a study about it or something, but I think people are able to connect in ways because like the fact that you talk to him as often as you did and couldn't see him, I think it forces people to focus on kind of certain love languages and communication styles, right? So the lack of ability to see each other in person, especially early on, forced you guys to really open up and really talk and really connect because that's all you had. And I think for a lot of people who like doing that, I think, you know, talking with someone not in the same city really allows people to connect that way. In fact, like, and I've experienced that. You know, you're just kind of like, why, you know, you're just like, well, fuck, I can't see each other because like sometimes when you meet someone and you date and you meet on a dating app, you go on a date in your city and you talk and like there's so much sexual tension, like you're not really like focusing on connecting because it's easy to just like give into that physical, you know, desires.
Yeah.
So I guess what I'm saying is part of what you're feeling for him and the fact that you've shared with him, like, might be less about how special he is or just the fact that, you know, that you've really, you feel a bond with him because you had some of these like long conversations, but like practically it just seems like not going to work. And like you would want, if I were you, I would want this person to be fighting for me, you know?
Yeah.
Because it sounds like, without putting him on the spot, he's the problem. Problem in the sense is like, if I were him, I would be like, you know, I thought a lot about what you said and I think you're amazing and I don't want to lose you. And like we'll figure this out. Like, I just need to focus on what you like more. What do you like? Let's talk about what you like. I want to do that. Who would want to have sex with a robot? You know, I get it. You know, I can do better. You would think he'd want to rise to the challenge,
Yeah.
you know? And it doesn't sound like he has.
Yeah, not really.
So you want him to want to do it, plus then still deal with this very big problem of distance.
Distance, yeah.
I think it might be just time for you to grieve and let go.
Yeah, I had a feeling you would say that.
I'm trying to figure out an angle here, but I'm just not. I'm not seeing it.
I know.
I think you should take solace in the fact that a lot of what you feel for him is inflated a little bit. Does that make sense? I'm not saying it's not real, and I'm just saying you could have these things with someone else. I mean, you're not describing anything to me that can't be found by someone else.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you can give me an example of like he listened to you and he talked to you. And I know that sometimes can feel like hard to find with a guy, but I'm certain that now you know how to replicate that,
Yeah. I did learn a lot from it. Like, it wasn't my ideal way to be in a relationship or anything, but
yeah. So now when you start dating a guy, like that's all beautiful part about like dating and having it end, right? There's clearly things from this relationship you want to find in someone else. The way you guys talked and connected and how he listened and how you could feel, how you felt safe enough to open up with him. Those you want that with someone else, and you can and will find that with someone else. Maybe not right away. You might have to go on 5 or 6 bad dates or 10 bad dates with someone before you find it, but like you'll find it, especially because it's a priority for you.
Yeah.
And then hopefully the next person will, really be able to blow your mind in bed.
Yeah. I think it is.
And then they won't live like a 24-hour flight away. Well, that's far.
It was crazy how far it was, but yeah. Okay.
I don't think talking to him is helping you. I think you should stop that. At least give him a chance to like lose his mind and figure out a way to fight.
Okay.
Right? Because you are like the fact that your relationship was based off this long distance. Like now he now gets to have what he had with you and date someone else or talk to someone else. And again, that's a boundary you have to set for yourself and have to enforce. And so that is like, listen, it sounds like you've done everything you possibly could. Now you got to try to grieve, walk away. Don't give in to missing and boredom, and reach out because it's super easy knowing he'll talk to you and see if he's willing to fight. But more importantly, I think take some time, get back out there, get on the dating apps and try to replicate some of the emotions and feelings you found with him and how you guys communicate with someone else. I'm confident you'll be able to find it.
Yeah, I think so too. It's just hard.
It's more disappointing than hard, I think.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, I feel like you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
And is this taking a lot of energy out of you?
Yeah. Yes.
You deserve a good orgasm. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just seems like
it's true.
Yeah. I think you'll be all right.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.
All right.
All right. Bye-bye. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. What's your name?
My name's Casey. I'm 23 years old.
How can I help, Casey?
So I will just kind of start off by giving you the background story of the question.
Okay.
So it was summer of 2020. I moved back in with my parents at their new house, and there ended up being a good-looking neighbor across the street. We kind of unexpectedly started seeing each other, and he treated me so well. He would literally act like he was my boyfriend.
Except that. What does that mean?
Except that.
What does that mean?
So we would do like tons of stuff together. We'd run errands together. We would exercise together. I'd have dinner over there. We'd go golfing. We'd play tennis, beach dates.
Were you hooking up?
So here's the funny part is, I assume if like most guys don't want a relationship that they're looking to hook up. And he was, always like, I don't want to take advantage of you. I want to go really slow with you. And we did absolutely everything other than actually have sex. So I would stay overnight there a lot. And
so you were messing around, but you didn't have sex.
Yeah, which is weird because I don't know. It was usually I don't know. He was very respectful, and I liked that.
How old is this guy?
He was 38, actually.
Okay, so older than you.
Yeah. So, yeah. So basically,
I mean, there's variables you have to consider. He's older, right? He lives next to your parents. I mean, I would be super self-conscious and nervous. You know, anytime you date someone younger, there's variables you have to consider, right? Like, does this make sense? Where are we at in our lives? Like, what are the power dynamics at play? You know?
Yeah. So
he lives next to your fucking parents.
Yeah.
So like, short of him being like, I would, that makes sense why he's like, let's take this slow. Right.
Yeah. So I guess like it was about, I don't know, a month and a half, 2 months into like kind of seeing each other. And I kind of brought up the, what are we conversation. And he was basically like, I really like you. I want to keep seeing you, but I'm not ready for a relationship anytime soon. And I was like, okay, so why?
He said it like that? He didn't reference like the age difference or?
No.
It was just like, he's not ready?
Yeah, like it was like he's not ready. Like he's very, I've learned now that he's very much of like a workaholic. He loves to work. He has 2 jobs and he wanted to, I don't know, I think he wanted to be
available.
Yeah, available. But basically I ended up ending things a little while after because I couldn't keep in the in-between stage. I was like, this is getting confusing. You're treating me like I'm your girlfriend, but you won't really commit.
And you walked.
Yeah, and I basically was like, I can't do this.
Are you still living with your parents right now?
Yeah, I am.
You're still neighbors?
No, we moved actually.
Oh, okay.
So I ended up getting into a relationship a few months after we ended things. Dated this guy for about 9 months, didn't work out. So this neighbor guy would text me maybe every couple months. Just kind of, it was kind of weird. He would just be kind of checking in. It was almost like seemed like he wanted an excuse to text me. And he would always say, oh, maybe we should do this. Maybe we should do that. And once I was out of my relationship, I texted him and said, hey, like, let me know if you want to hang out sometime. And I named a time. I was like, hey, are you free?
You said this to
Sunday?
him.
What's that? Sorry?
You said maybe we should hang out sometime to him?
Yeah, like he was previously like texting me, but he would never make any plans. He would never initiate plans. He would just continue to text me. And so I said, hey, are you free this Sunday? And he's like, I'm working, but I'll look at my schedule to see if I have any availability in the next upcoming week. And basically he's still been texting me the past like 10 days and hasn't like initiated anything. But if I stop texting him, like at one point I just liked his message because I just really didn't have a response to it. And he like texted me again the next day and was like, how's your Saturday? So I guess my question is, why is he putting all this effort into texting me? Like he'll send me like novels and he'll suggest like, maybe we should do this, but he'll never actually make plans, I guess. So I guess why is he...
How much effort do you really think it's taking?
I don't know. Like it's definitely more than I've seen anybody else text me, but it's not a lot of effort texting. I just don't understand why he's putting all this time into trying to keep up communication when...
What part of the country do you guys live? Just out of curiosity. Are you guys living in like a suburb or a big city or?
We're in Canada. We are in like it's a pretty small town.
Okay. So you're in a small town.
Yeah.
So context matters.
Yeah.
I mean, it's this 38-year-old guy who is a workaholic in a small town, which means most of his friends he grew up with are probably settled down, married with kids. Right?
Yeah.
This guy, when he's not working all the time, whenever he's not working, he has nothing to do, most likely. You know, it's not like back in the day where all his boys were going out, right? So, like, it doesn't take really any effort to text you. Think about all the things that you've been willing to do in your life when you were bored.
Yeah.
You know? The important thing here for you to consider too is you were hanging out with him, had a nice time. You know, treating you like his girlfriend doesn't really mean anything. It's not hard to go to dinner with a nice person or go grocery shopping or run errands and play house. In fact, it's fun to play house, especially when someone's like, just goes with the motions. But good for you for being like, hey, I don't want to do this anymore. You set some boundaries. He didn't follow, you know, he didn't oblige, and you moved on. You dated someone else. The important thing is he never chased you. He said, oh shit, she's dating someone else. Fuck, what am I doing? She's great. I can't pass this up. Like, it would make sense why he might have reluctance that you guys were neighbors with your parents. Would make sense that he has reservations about you being younger and maybe there's, you know, a disconnect between your ages and he's just, worried about that. He didn't reference any of these. He just said to you, he just doesn't have time for you, is what he said.
Yeah, basically.
And then you said, well, I don't want to do this. And he said, okay. And you said, okay. And you just agreed to agree on that at least. And never followed up, never chased you, never got worried, never was afraid of losing you.
Well, I guess I mean, it's a little confusing because he did continue to text me after and he's like, I want to keep seeing you after I said, I don't want to keep doing this.
Yeah, but he was still never afraid of losing you.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's true.
He was willing to have you in his life if you were willing to allow that to happen.
Yeah. So he's just talking to me now because he's bored, or
yes,
yeah.
Well, you're an option, you know. You're bored. You're like, you know, that's the harsh way of looking at it. And yeah, he finds you nice and fun to hang out with, and enjoys your company, and finds you to be delightful. But what is clear is that he is not interested in making you any kind of priority.
Yeah.
You know, if you are going to date someone who's considerably older than you, like there is going to be a shift, like there's going to potentially be a power dynamic there, right? And you need to, that would be weird for you guys not to even acknowledge. Have you guys ever talked about your age difference?
Yeah, we did actually. And he said it didn't bother him. So
that's it? Well, that's a little weird, right? I mean, you guys should acknowledge the challenges with that.
Yeah.
You know, doesn't mean you can't work through it. It just means like, I don't know. It would be like, you know, every time people choose to be in a relationship, there's pros and cons and obstacles. Like, for example, long distance. Could you imagine being in a relationship and trying to make long distance work and never talk about long distance, just assume you could treat it the same as if you lived in the same neighborhood. And then you were like, hey, how about long distance? And he was like, oh, it doesn't bother me. But you guys didn't talk about how you would make long distance work.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird, right? And you can date someone with a big significant age gap for sure, but that's still, again, you're trying to be an exception to the rule. You have to acknowledge, what are the challenges and pitfalls? Where might our age difference like complicate things? Where might we not be on the same page? Where might our expectations of each other differ as a result of our age? Where might there be a discrepancy in power as a result of, like, you guys didn't talk about any of that. And just to not talk about it, ignore it, doesn't mean it's not going to happen. So it doesn't sound like this guy's really worth your time worrying about. And he's also just been honest about like the fact that he doesn't want to make you a priority. He thinks you're nice and enjoys your company when he has time for you and you have time for him. And as long as you're willing to like not make things difficult for him, he'll keep hanging out with you.
That makes sense.
And like, is it great that he want to take things slow and but you don't get a medal. Like, that doesn't mean he likes you more. Like, when you said, oh, well, he didn't have sex with me. And typically if a guy just wants to have sex right away, doesn't want to date me, he'll have sex with me right away. That would be, I wouldn't like going forward, subscribe to that rule as like your big barometer if someone likes you.
Yeah.
There's a lot of situations where you could like hook up with someone right away and get to know someone and like them.
Yeah.
I'm confident in saying that his reasons for not hooking up with you, having sex with you right away, had more to do with protecting himself than worrying about your feelings.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I don't really think there's anything for you to like really invest in this guy.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, because I'm like, what do I do? Keep just texting him about nothing, or
exactly, literally about nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be giving him any medals about like not being an asshole. The fact that he is older and treated you quote unquote like a girlfriend, that just means he's in that stage of his life where he's, not hanging out with a bunch of bros and getting bottle service all the time and prioritizing his buddies over, like, again, all his friends are married with kids. So he just needs someone to go to Kmart with, or a flea market. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
So you're just kind of filling a void because like everyone else has to go to soccer practice.
Yeah. It's very, very true.
So he doesn't stop giving him credit for things he doesn't really deserve.
Okay.
He's not an asshole. He's just a guy. Yeah. He seems like a decent guy who's kind of selfish and prioritizes what he wants to do over everything else. And that's fine, but that's the situation you find yourself in. So,
okay.
I would stop texting with him. And if he wants to beg for you, then fine. And if down the road he comes around, I wouldn't ignore the fact that there isn't like an age difference. You should want to talk about like challenges and hurdles in any relationship.
Yeah. So.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Best of luck. All right. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to send in your questions at asknick@castmedia.com. Cast with a K for all your submissions. Need those questions so we can keep doing this great thing called the podcast. And on Wednesday, Hello Teffy is with us. You won't want to miss it. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Before you go, make sure you like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you don't miss any future videos like our Tuesday Bachelor recaps and Wednesday celebrity and expert interviews. See you next time.